and welcome everyone. Today, another episode. Today, we have Allan Campbell. He's an editor of the official Concept magazine and podcast. So, he's going to tell us his insight about his journey. Allan, how are you today?
I'm doing very well. Hey, thank you so much. And I just have to say that your intro is really cool. I haven't actually seen it before, but yeah, it's really nice. It's
Thank
very
you.
groovy.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. So, Allan, thank you so much for being here with us today. For people to know, Allan's in Australia. It was a big effort for him. It's 2 a.m. his time, so I'm truly grateful for you to be here and share your insights with me and, of course, the audience that will be seeing this interview. So, Allan, if you describe yourself, to people to know a bit more about you, how will you characterize who is Allan Campbell?
So, right now, thank you very much for letting me be a guest on your show. It is quite the privilege. And 2 a.m. is really nothing. Normally, because of the different time zones, I normally have to get up around this time for meetings or projects, and it's totally fine. I kind of break up my nightly routine, but I still go to the gym every day at like 7 a.m. and then hit the whole work program then. But the way that I describe myself is, so I see myself as somebody who cannot really sit down and do the norm. I absolutely love embracing creativity. I love being able to reach the far journeys of myself, either through experiences or through extreme insight with just my own mind. I love spirituality. I cannot wait to go out there and do a full nature photo shoot. I also love figuring out and seeing what is on the cusp of what is on the basis of technology and how this is going to change society as we know it. And I love being able to experience other people's ideas and thoughts. That's very important to me as well, because if you're creating and if you're putting yourself in a bubble where you're only able to view the world with your own eyes, and you either have a bubble of people around you that you've experienced through childhood all the way up, you're just given a cone. And I don't really enjoy that. I prefer to be able to experience conversation with other people and be able to see where they're coming from. And that's why I love my podcast, and that's why I love my magazine. And I'm also dabbling in a lot of cookery and photography. So that pretty much sums me up.
Amazing. I think you made a very good point, which most people don't have, unfortunately, which is hearing other people. I think it's important because in the end, as I said many of these conversations before, no one's perfect, and we should always hear other people, because it's good to have other insights. And that also makes a better version of ourselves, because it's not about just us. It's about what part of you are in society and how you compenetrate yourself with other people to make a better, insightful, and a better communication with other people also. Because it can be ideas to create other things that you haven't occurred, at that time. So always, I think the important root from this is always be compassionate and always try to, be insightful, communicating with other people, right?
100%. And on top of this, you can find so much out with other people, even without them even speaking one word, just through either characteristics or the way that they treat themselves, either positively and negatively. And the more that you understand about yourself, this is why I love spirituality so much, and meditation and journaling, is because the more that you figure out you, the more that you understand what other people are going through as well.
Absolutely, I couldn't agree with you more. So, Alan, you were the founder and creating of the official concept magazine. What was the actual inspiration behind it started, and how was it focused, evolved over the years? I mean, how all this came up to you?
So what happened was I've been in the creative industry for about, I'd say, 12 years now. And I started as a professional photographer. I was doing this for quite a long time, and it it's like I became so close with so many creative people and so many celebrities. And being over in Australia, I grew up in this small country town called Adelaide, and moving over to the Gold Coast and Sydney and Melbourne, it was very much a crazy world to explore. And around about 2020, I was running a really like quite in-depth personal photography where I was able to capture their character, and I was being able to become really close friends with a lot of these people that I was working with.
Sure.
So when COVID-19 came, my whole business actually fell through in 1 week, and I lost all generations of income because it's all in person, and I wasn't able to create or do anything. So luckily, over in Australia, there was still a lot of like support with family, and I had a lot of friends at the time and I even had like really close flatmates at the time as well. They were amazing, but my whole business I was working so like closely with just vanished, and I wasn't able to really do anything in the creative world with photography for about 2 years, because in Australia they literally locked down the whole country for such a long time. And while that was happening, I was writing a lot of poetry, and I've always done journaling. I've always been able to see the impact and beauty of writing, and there's so much of a perception that you can, like, if you're out in nature and if you're sitting there with a notepad and just experiencing the world, you can create something just so magical just with pen and paper, with language. And the more that you understand language, the more beautiful it can be. So I was talking to a lot of my friends, and they also work in like high class media. What happened was because I work with a lot of brands as well, I was able to get some really good sponsors, and they wanted to have features done with their editorials. And then I had a couple of friends who wanted to have features done because I just finished some projects. And that was and then I had some really great mentors at the time with being able to create magazines and a publication. So when that was completed and that started to roll, I thought that it was amazing. I had so much fun. And I'm a power horse with writing. So I was doing that. And then what was happening, because we were under lockdown, a lot of my friends, we were calling up, and they were all either in LA or they were over in Paris or London or Monaco. And then, right after I talked with them, I would watch like the Joe Rogan podcast or one of the others. And sure. It was like, I got like, it was strange because being in a lockdown, you couldn't see people face to face, but I was able to still learn. And it sounds really weird, but I kind of felt like I was with friends hanging out when I was listening to these interviews. And then when I heard that, when I felt that, I was just like, well, what if I were to, create my own show and just go down this way? And then, one thing led to another. I created a show, and then the first interview that I ever did was the original voice of Siri, Susan Bennett. And then after that, Prince Lorenzo de Medici, who's an Italian royal. And then Grant Harold, the former royal butler for the Queen of England. and then just continue to work and engage more and more, and having unique conversation. And I've been able to learn so much with these people. These people have such a huge background in their field. They're just being able to get a snippet in their logic and understanding is just so powerful, because I can implement that in my normal day-to-day as well. And how my magazine has grown since then. So from 2020 to now. So the magazine started at 2020, but the podcast started at 2021, and it's changed because, for one thing, I never had it massively when I first started, but I kind of had imposter syndrome when I began. And I felt like, I never forget doing one of the interviews, and I would just have to look in my bathroom before the show happened and just pump myself up so much. And I'm like, I could do this, and put water in my face. And I was like, I got this. Because when you're doing an interview, it's not just like having a conversation with a friend. You have to really go in depth, but then also you have to because you've never, some of the times you haven't even spoken to this person before, or you've just spoken to a publicist before, and then you need to make them feel comfortable, and then you need to go on some subjects that could be quite touchy, and you want them to feel safe, so you have to open up yourself. And there's a lot of stuff that you got to really think about when you're interviewing these people, and it's just getting into that mindset. So now I do not have imposter syndrome. It really feels just like I'm talking to great friends that I'm able to meet for the first time. That's the way that it feels right now. And with my magazine, my writing increased. I've just become better as a journalist. And the connections that I have it's like when you start in this industry, especially in that, I'm quite fortunate to be doing the photography prior, and then also having great mentors while that was starting out. So I was able to flourish, quote unquote, quite successfully. Like, I know that I was in there for about 8 years doing photography, but you need to have this level of trust. And when you're in this industry, the number one thing has nothing to do with money. It has to do with respect and honesty. Yeah. Because you can give people $1 million, but if they feel that their reputation is going to be tarnished, or if something is on the line, they will never want to interview you. And that's why, it's like, for me, I may not have 20 million followers on social media, but I have the trust. I have the ability for these people to know that they're in a safe position. And then, unlike this one here, my interviews are not live. So if anyone, personally, it's kind of for me, sometimes I just ramble on so much, and I just cut that stuff out, because it's mainly, as I said before, it's mainly for the guests to be able to talk about their experiences, either on a movie or their book that they're releasing, or it's like that. But I normally, it's like I need to cut out some of the stuff that I say, because I just ramble on way too much, and I don't want to make it all about me. It's meant for them. So
Amazing. I think it's two odd points that we can perceive for people who are hearing this. One is perseverance. You find your way out from your actual situation, putting an insightful situation, which is compelling and hearing other people in a way of promoting communication publicly. And the other part is how you make from circumstances a positive impact. So I think it's very, very insightful, and as a pure example for people that nothing is impossible, right?
Nothing is impossible. If you're able to wake up and take a deep breath, you got the biggest chance ever. And then the other thing as well is that it's like, not to sound old, but I'm 31 years old, so I didn't have AI to really coach me. I'm 100% self-taught. I taught myself everything that I know, And for a very long time, I never had AI. So right now, it's amazing because I'm able to literally just ask my phone and talk to them as a mentor, and then they can just describe it in full, and then they can help guide me. So it's like, I have so much gratitude and I have so much, high respect with my mentors. But having this ability where I don't have to wait until they wake up or have to, but it's like, oh, I want to be able to dabble in this type of artistry. I might need to go to these events to network to maybe obtain some knowledge. I don't need to do that anymore. I can literally just, it might sound weird, but I can just be a recluse and just read it or listen to it and then just go out there and do it. And then, that's why I love creativity, because it's all in here. Creativity is 100% with the self, but you're able to give your own self-expression for the rest of the world to witness. And that's what's so beautiful about it.
Not only that, I mean, once you start creativity, the brain itself starts to develop because you are pushing it. I mean, if you don't create actions, of course, the brain is settled. But once you start in motion, all this process, of course, you're starting to have more and more thoughts. How I can make this better? How can I go to the next step? But for that, of course, it needs to have a point of start, which you just reframed. That's really remarkable. So, Allan, tell us a bit about more what, if you can share moments that you had, shareable moments that you had within your podcast, the Official Concept Podcast. Can you tell us a bit about that?
Well, actually, so this is a bit funny. So, okay, so my biggest, so I might be really fit and do all this outdoorsy type of stuff, but I'm a huge geek, massive. So I love anime. Anime is my number one thing. I swear that if anime didn't exist, I wouldn't be as fit. Really, it's like it definitely gets me to the next gear. But the top that I've had so far, where I've just kind of sat back and looked at, and I was like, whoa, was when I was given the ability to interview this guy called Christopher Sabat. And if you don't know his name, have you ever seen Dragon Ball?
I haven't. No.
Oh, okay. Well, his name. So he's the character Vegeta and Piccolo, and then also he's done all these amazing voice actors for other prestigious animes. And when I did the interview with him, it was so wild because so around that time period, I had a huge breakup with one of my ex-girlfriends. And I just felt so low, and I was just feeling so bummed out for a while. And I was just doing my work, and then I got an email from his publicist, and I was like, "Oh my gosh!" And then because he was doing all these shows, it was kind of a bit on and off. So the publicist said, "We would love to do the interview, but it's like." Don't quote me on this because this happened a long time ago. This happened 1.5 years ago. So I'm just trying to remember that part. But yeah, they said something on the lines of he's going to be available in this time frame for an hour, but we don't really know yet. We'll let you know 30 minutes before. And that time frame was I think it was 1 a.m.
Oh.
So every day for a week, I would put my alarm on because I didn't know if I had to do the interview that time period or if it was just going to be a miss for that day. So I would wake up and I would email them and I'd be like, is this interview happening? And then I would have to kind of get ready because the time span for that, it's when they said yes was 5 minutes. So I had to so I literally got ready. And then, yeah. So I was like, yeah, but we did the show eventually after 3 days, and he gave me a really good acclaim. He said that I kept it in the podcast, and so he said something on the lines of, you're really professional and you do things in a really high class manner, and I'm really happy to be on the show. And that, to me, it's like, imagine for yourself, you have like this, this really prestigious musician or actor
Sure.
that you've been following for quite a long time, and then that saying, like them saying that on your show, it's just like, wow. Not to take any light away from the other guests that I've had. They've all been amazing, but just because I'm a huge fan of anime, that there was just like, oh my gosh, whoa. And then after that, my breakup didn't affect me. I was just like, hell yeah, time for the time for the next show to go on. Yeah.
So congratulations on that. So I mean, you had very different experiences. So from the topics that you select from guests for your podcast, is there a particular theme or message that you aim to convey through your episodes?
Well, it really depends on the guests. I've interviewed everywhere from models from Monaco to prestigious royalty to voice actors.
Sure.
It really depends on, it's like, you need to do so much research for guests. Like I won't read it out, of course, but literally if I'm working with a publicist or a PR agent, there is literally like 30 back and forth. Sometimes it's been 100, just going back and forth, making sure that everything's on point, getting all the questions ready, getting all the, information back. And it's like, there's so much of a professional background that has to be done. And sometimes, it's like, just because I'm open with a lot of my experiences doesn't mean that some people have to be. In this industry, there is never a have to. And that's why it's so rewarding, because you can kind of see where other people's boundaries are, which is great. So it really just depends on the guest. It depends on, and then the other thing as well was that, this might be able to explain it too. When you were on my show as a guest, I had a full list, and then literally when you joined, you told me that you're into bodybuilding, and I think for like 20 minutes we were just talking about the bodybuilding industry and the positives and negatives, and that was just literally on the fly. That wasn't prepared at all, but that's how some of them can go. They can literally have that's why I also have the magazine, because it's not just because I set up the questions, it doesn't have to be a dot point list to go through, because to me, even that doesn't feel natural. Some of the times, it's like I've had interviews where it really is just one question after another, and there isn't really any, charisma or jokes back and forth, which is fine. But sometimes we've only had one topic that we've just spoken about for the whole hour, and then it's just. But it feels great. It's still a great show. So it just really depends. But people, if you ever want to get into interviewing, you need to do the work. If you ever just start a show, and then you either you get talents coming on, and then you just say, hey, how's your day going?
One thing I like to add, Allan, sorry for interrupting you, is improvisation. I mean, you really need this skill, to be aware, especially when you're doing live programs. That's even more, because there's more unexpected things. I mean, you can have internet cuts. There's so many things that can happen. So the skill of improvisation, definitely for people who hear this, it's definitely needed, because in some point, like you just mentioned, you can jump from a subject that was not mentioned, and you start creating at that precise moment, second, and you create the subject right there. So, I mean, I think it's one of the fundamentals that, for people to know. Just carry on, please.
Yeah. And then also charisma. It's like if you're well, the other thing is that if you're charismatic, I've known people that are very charismatic and they don't talk about anything, but people are still attracted to them.
Yeah.
And they don't, it isn't, and the attraction doesn't have to be physical. It's like they
Yeah.
just, so some people just have like the gift of the gab where they, where they can just say stuff and people are just drawn to it. For me, I've had to kind of learn how to be kind of charismatic, which is little bit unique, but yeah, it's just some people just got it. But yeah, and if they have it, just if they put in their excellence and if they put in the actual discipline, they'll be able to go further than anyone.
Remarkable, absolutely. So, Alan, regarding your digital magazine, how do you think that changes the landscape with traditional publishing? I mean, in what way you think that has changed?
So personally, I would 100% love to have every one of my magazines published in full print and to be about this thick with high quality paper.
Right.
And I would love to have a million of them printed out. But my biggest thing is sustainability. I wouldn't feel honor. Not saying that this takes any credit from the other magazines that do this, but just personally, if there's a way that you can go full eco-friendly, then do it. That's one of the reasons why I love just solely having a digital magazine and putting it out that way, because I do not like when the ecosystem is either cut down, or if there's something that doesn't really have to be there to be there. And then the other thing as well is that there's just so many more steps that you have to take to be able to do this. And then that's also cost effective as well.
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, for people who don't know, you also have nature photography skills, so to be a passion. So,
Oh
how does
yeah,
that influence? Sorry?
yeah, go on. Yes.
Yeah. How does that influence, when you're doing, interviews or when you creating, one site of magazine? How does that influence in you?
Well, the best thing is probably not having to like pay anybody else to do the creative side, because
Right.
I can.
Right.
So if I get any sponsorships or brand deals, I can literally just put it in the contract that I get a lot of the products. I can just, like, for me, it doesn't take any. I've been doing this stuff for such a long time. It's like brushing my teeth. So yeah, I've been able to just take so many unique photos of the brands that I'm with, and on top of that, I so when I was younger, I used to have extreme anxiety, and I used to have a kind of not really that great mental health. Doing photography was able to allow me to be in the moment and be in the present, because when you're doing nature photography especially, you don't have control of anything. You have to give your full will to nature and experience it. So so yesterday I went over to the botanical gardens, and it's like there's so many because it's summer now over in Australia, and there's so much beautiful wildlife that's over there. There's so many flowers that are blooming.
Sure.
And one of the weird, I would say that it's probably on the verge of a fetish right now. I absolutely love bees. And so if I'm out there and I see like bees on flowers pollinating, man, I gotta be there taking photos of them. Yeah. So I just go out there. I have like the main camera that I use, for anyone wondering, it's a Lumix G9 with a 25 millimeter prime lens. So on because that's just micro four thirds sensor, so it's a little bit smaller. But on a normal camera, it's 50 mil. So I love like getting up and close, and yeah, just being able to get like the full beauty of it all.
Outstanding. Was it something that it was, that you already had it from childhood that you wanted to do, or is just appear during your life journey?
Well, it's pretty funny. So like, yeah, this isn't me putting myself down, but I am not naturally talented. I was never naturally talented at anything. When I was a kid, I'm 6'6", but I was never picked for a sport because I was really uncoordinated. I never failed a class, but I was always on like C's, and my writing skills was horrible. My knowledge was horrible. I wasn't really putting myself out there that much. I didn't have a relationship when I was 21, and it's just I just didn't. I got my first camera when I was 20, 20 years old, 19, 20 years old. And when I was that age, I just did a lot of, because I lived over in the UK when I was 19, and I did my university over there. And for a gift, I got this really old. It's not like cool old. It's more like just bad technology old. It's like this like redundant Sony camera, and that's so they were like, yeah, just go for it. So when I was taking photos, I just kind of fell into the beauty of it. And at the time, I was studying sound and music. I'm a sound and music engineer and technician, and so I was doing a lot of band stuff, and I can play the electric guitar and sing. So when I was doing that, I was also doing photography for a lot of the other bands and a lot of the other friends that were wanting photo shoots. And then I just kind of like got into the love and just started to educate myself further in this creative world. Before, I absolutely hated education. I thought that it was ridiculous. But as soon as I found something that I actually truly loved, I just went full deep into it. And then, that helped me with my depression as well. So I don't have it anymore, but when I was younger, I used to have severe depression. I used to have a lot of body dysmorphia on top of this, and an eating disorder. So
Sure.
there were a lot of things that was going through my mind when I was younger, like a young adult, and I never felt of worth. So when I would take these photos, and even if people around me didn't really see the beauty, at least I did. And that kind of gave myself meaning with this in the creative industry. And so the more that I studied and the more that I went through it, and then the more that you apply logic to creativity, then you can understand what other people enjoy. And when you understand that with creativity, then it's endless, because you could do a photo shoot of either, like a model or just a friend, and then they're going to go, this is the best photo I've ever had in my whole life. And that gives you like really nice emotional support, because you're just like, you know what, I wouldn't have been able to do this without education or without this passion, but I'm giving this person that I really admire some beauty. And then they post it. I still have people that I've known for years still use that one profile photo that I took, like, or just the image I took out with them. It's like they still use it. And I've done wedding photography as well, growing up, and just being able to do that, capturing these beautiful, memorable moments, and then them looking at you in the eyes and saying, "This is amazing. You've done such a beautiful job." Being able to give that gift is something really, impactful to me.
Absolutely outstanding story. Remarkable. I can say, I'm proud of what you achieved, for sure.
Hey, thank you.
I mean, for sure, during these remarks and this journey, you obviously had some challenges. What was the most challenging in photographic shooting that you can remember? And how did that impact your approach capturing nature?
So, what was that last bit? Sorry.
I mean, during your journey, as I mentioned, you obviously had what has been the most challenging in your photographic shooting, and how did it impact you? The approach capturing nature.
I think that the first thing is my whole business becoming redundant in like a week. That's probably the biggest like, oh, like I don't know if you can swear on this show or anything like that, but I was like, oh shit.
Yeah,
Because it
yeah.
literally it just happened. Like I got like I remember sitting down, and well, actually it was a double whammy. So one of my really close friends at the time, he wanted to go on a full European trip, and we're at this what is it called? It's like it's a booking agency for flight travel, and he just booked. I think he spent $10,000 on his airfare, and I'm not even kidding. He literally put down his bank card on there, and paid for it. And then we looked up on the TV in the office. There's legitimately on the news, countrywide lockdown, nobody can leave. And then he just looked at the travel agent, and then he goes, "What?" Like he just tapped his screen, and then it said approved, and then he just looked up and okay, so that's how. And then when that happened, I got all these messages stating that none of my clients can come, and the ones that are here have to return back to their country. So that's probably the biggest one. And then the second one is probably just, it's like when anybody starts anything, there's always that level of self-doubt. And it's like, I remember just taking some photos, and then I'm not friends with them anymore, but they were really close friends when I was younger. And they just said that my work is terrible and that I should just quit it. And that really hurt me at the time. It wasn't really good. Do I think that what they said was right? Well, it made me improve because like it made me really show them what I can do. And it's like them, and you know, so the other thing is that with them saying that, if that never happened, would I be able to become the photographer that I am today? And the true question is, I don't know. I don't know if, because I really wanted to prove them wrong at the time. Because I was only like 23 years old, and they're like, oh, you know, your modeling photos are terrible. And then they were just being negative, you just quit. And after that, I just, you know, because I was dealing with a lot of these mental issues at the time, I just went on a huge barrage in my mind, and then I just did a really huge meditation, and I just transformed into like this new like level. And then after that, I just started taking really great photos, and then I started hanging out with those other people. But it's kind of like, so that was the second thing. So those are the two.
Yeah. Outstanding. So we both have a passion mutually, which is cooking, right? So how do you actually manage to integrate that part into your magazine?
Okay, so right now I'm actually working on a cooking book, and I've just started. So I don't even have a name for it right now. I'm still thinking of the name. I don't think I'm going to call it the official concept cooking book. I need to find like a better, like a more unique name. But okay, so when I was, I'll tell a story. So when I was younger, I absolutely disliked cooking. I used to have an eating disorder. I used to not enjoy cooking or food. And when I would eat something, to me, because it wasn't, you know, it was all pre-made stuff. So it just kind of tastes like cardboard. And it's like, I remember trying to make my first sandwich when I was a kid, and the knife was so dull that it just smushed the tomato. And so what happened was that I picked the tomato up, and I tried cutting it, and I think I was about 7 at the time, and I ended up stabbing my hand to the point where it was actually protruding out. And I still have a scar to this day. It's right here. And so after that, I actually had some trauma with cooking. So, I'm not trying to say, glum Allan over here, but I really dislike cooking. I didn't like the taste of food. I thought that it was just my mind was, if I could just take a pill and that would fill my whole nutrition, I would just live off of that. I didn't see the beauty in it at all. And it wasn't until the age of 25 when I started to get into the level of fitness, and I wanted to really test myself. So I would just batch cook a lot of chicken and broccoli and brown rice and then sweet potato. And having that every day, it's like, and then a lot of meals on top of this. I didn't even put any spices on chicken. I literally just put them in the oven and then let them rock. And it'd be like bland rice. And having that about 3 or 4 times a day for about 6 months, you kind of want to start changing stuff up. So I went over to this shopping complex over in the Gold Coast, and it's called Pacific Fair. And there's this house, there's this shop in there, and it's called House. And it's like a huge discount area for cooking wear. And I bought this really nice chef knife. It was my first ever one.
Amazing.
And I went over and I just started to find new dishes on the internet to make for high protein. And then I just started to learn how to, prepare just the most simple things, like how to prepare onions or shallots or just garlic, and make a white sauce with other ingredients. And that's when I just started to figure out that, hey, I can create really amazing flavor with not much cost or fee. And it may take an extra 10 minutes, but it weighs itself, because at least I know what's in it, compared to going over to a restaurant and having everything pre-made. I don't know what's fully into it. They, especially right now, because I'm doing the vegan diet. I don't know if some places, I know that they have like the V, for vegan and all that stuff, but sometimes they may use butter, or they may, 100% no, they may use utensils that are not, sterilized. And yeah, so I just fell in love with being able to create my own dishes and create the beauty of, the art, the true art of cooking. And then I also had a lot of really amazing mentors who were head chefs, and they still are head chefs. And just having their kind of aspect and perception with it all really just kind of put into the next gear. So now I can, this is going to sound really kind of, I don't know if it's obnoxious or what, but okay. I used to have, this was probably a couple of years ago, I used to have girlfriends who literally would just date me from my cooking skills. Because in my old kitchen, amazing. I used to have like laser light. Yeah. Oh man, it's like they used to just come over and be like, "What are you gonna make tonight?" I'll just say, "I'll make this dish," and they'll be like, "Oh, can't wait to come over." And then so yeah, okay, so it's just like that type of stuff. I even had like people have kind of like I even had my brother like shed a tear because he just couldn't believe it. But so that's kind of my path for cooking. But the reason why I want to create this book is because it's like we're living in this time right now where food costs is so expensive, and fast food is becoming so expensive. Yeah. So it's now bridging the period. Like, I haven't had fast food in years, but it's bridging the costs where it's probably cheaper to actually start cooking from home. And when you really know how to cook,
and the funny thing is that, and the most important thing that people miss is the healthy part. Cooking at home or having healthy food, it does change the way you are. I mean, because you're putting goodies inside you, so of course the results are totally different instead of just having fast food.
Yeah, 100%. I wouldn't be able to achieve my fitness goal if I was just eating out, because it would just either be $1,000 every week, just on
Yeah.
restaurant and like eating out because it's just so it's like to eat healthy out is so like dear. But yeah, so it's like when you learn how to cook, the funny thing is that when you have very high skill with cookery, you don't actually need to get amazing premium ingredients. You can get healthy stuff, but you don't need to spend top dollar in these luxurious farmers markets where it's like you know how to actually do it properly. And then then you can just go further and further into these steps. I can make an amazing dish with about 6 ingredients,
Right.
and just it may take like 20 minutes, but it's 100% healthy. You know what's in it, and I know the other thing is that the reason why like this cookbook is probably going to take 2 years to make because there's a million cookbooks from Michelin star chefs that have worked in this industry forever, and so I'm kind of like, they obviously know more than me, but what's an aspect that I can bring that's unique? And so that's
Right.
the thing that I'm really kind of wanting to figure out first. Because anybody can make a cookbook, especially with AI. But I want to be able to make something that people are like, oh wow, okay,
Make
this
it
is
yourself and make it personal to make it that
yeah,
differentiality from the market, right? Absolutely.
yeah.
So, from all the recipes that you have created, which was the most significant one that you can share that has more into you, let's just say?
Sites or what was it? Sorry.
The recipe, a memorable recipe that you have designed that you feel that is more connected the way you are in your philosophy.
Sorry, what was that again?
Sorry,
That,
I'm not sure if
that,
you can
that,
hear me well. No, I'm just asking, can you describe a unique recipe that you have created or adapted that reflects your personal style or philosophy? That's the kind of thing that I was trying to, yeah.
I would say that it's probably this is probably going to sound really strange. It's the things that I haven't actually made public,
Right,
and it's the thing that I really it's kind of like I love creativity because it's an expression of the self, but I love creating things that are very personal as well. And when you're able to create things that you can look at and it's a one of one, then it is as bespoke as can be. And it's very rare. And yeah, so it's like it's just either images that I've taken where other people may not even care. Other people, may look at it and be like, whatever, just another photo. Or they may even criticize it, and that's okay. But for
sure.
me personally, these ones here hold a lot of meaning. And same thing with some dishes. Some dishes I would only make for myself because it's just when you are able to create artistry, you need to have things that only you can have because that's what you've developed and that's what makes you you. So you can't, like you can and you can't. Like if you want to do it, that's fine. But some things you just need to cherish for yourself, and like you don't even need to bring it up with other people. You don't even need to tell other people what you're having because that's in a way negative because you're gloating. So yeah, just I have a lot of things that I absolutely love and cherish, but I haven't
Sure.
actually really.
Outstanding. That's truly remarkable. So, I mean, from what I see, you are involved in many things and doing many things on personal interest. How do you combine all the time between the podcast, the magazine, your cooking, your lifestyle? I mean, how you do all this?
Meditation,
Right.
meditation, and then this is the other thing as well. So when I love okay, so I see my life in chapters. And when that chapter is finished, so it can either be with a new relationship, a new season of weather, a new location that you're living in, but everything that is outside of that chapter is to me, is, unless if it's a benefit, it just isn't real. It doesn't exist anymore. And it's like, not that I'm taking it outside of my mind, but I'm always working on new and productive things, and I don't hold on any baggage that happened 6 months ago or a year ago. And this is the other thing as well, is that I'm very like in myself. So I have a lot of really amazing friends, but I love being by myself. I absolutely cherish being with me and being able just to, relax by myself. I'm a very big homebody as well. Like, I love going outside and doing nature, but I love like just meditating. I love just being like kind of spiritually aware of myself. And yeah, it's just diving into that. So yeah, being able to break up the time periods is very important, because it's like you can't see it all as one big chunk to kind of achieve, because that's impossible. You can't like mentally get your mind around it, because it's just so overwhelming. And because it's like, if you're doing bodybuilding, if you're doing interviews with celebrities and royalty, if you're doing editorials or magazines, professional photography, I'm making music as well, and writing a book about spirituality and about cooking. It's like, it can really just be overwhelming. It's like every day there's not enough time. But if you break it up, if you break it up, and it's not like every day has to be the same. Like, you can break up workout routines with different meetings or different time frames.
Also to complement that, and for people to understand, I mean, you cannot have such a strict routine either, because your mindset also gets bored or tired of doing the same thing every day. So in the end, it's a matter of how you organize really the time, but not making as strict. So I think it's very important for healthy of mind and also the body, for you to feel that you're doing every day something different, not exactly strictly as it is and how it's supposed to be, to accomplish. There are many ways to accomplish the same goal. You don't actually have to do it the same way every day, right?
And not be hard on yourself.
Yeah.
It's like, I feel that, because that's what used to happen to me before, was I used to think about, like, 90% of my mind would be thinking about how I'm going to fail or mess up the situation. And then I was getting anxiety. And then, well, what if this happens? And then I just think of fake scenarios that aren't even real. And then the actual engagement, the actual piece that you're doing in that time frame is actually quite nice. And then it's like, what was I even worrying about? And even if there is something to worry about, if it's not life-threatening, time moves on, and time is the best healer. So it's like, nothing is forever. Everything changes. Don't be too hard on yourself. If you have a list, go at your own way. Go at your own pace. If you feel that, just because I'm doing loads of stuff doesn't mean, it's like, my mind's weird. If I didn't do these things, I would probably be horrifically depressed. Yeah. So it's like, my mind needs to be active. I need to be able to do all of these things just to keep hustling, just to keep going. Because if I were to, not saying that other people who do this is bad in any way, but if I were to, let's say hypothetically, if I were to solely be doing like Twitch streaming and just playing games, doing that all day, every day, I would probably have severe depression, because I need to be able to change things up and go out there and do all these things. I wouldn't be able to do what other people do in that field, where other people can really flourish, and they may find it daunting to go outside, and they might not have interest in the same things that I do. So it's like, everyone has their own level doesn't mean that it's good or bad. It's just
Yeah.
the experience of life.
So, I mean, that's truly remarkable. And I think it's, the best way for people to understand how the time should be actually organized for their own goals, right? So, regarding, you know, there's a lot of content, of course. You are into multimedia with all this. How do you see the role of multimedia compelling with your own interests regarding, for example, storytelling? How do you see all this?
Well, I think personally, we're going to be able to see some absolutely wild things coming up in the next couple of years, especially with AI being integrated with virtual reality. That's where I believe that this direction is going. And what's just going to happen is we're going to be able to put a couple of prompts in, and it's going to be able to generate endless amounts of creativity that we want. Is that going to be good or bad? I believe that there is always going to be a market for human creativity, in the same way that people would love to have a degustation at a Michelin star restaurant compared to getting fast food at a, normal fast food place.
Yeah,
It's like I might be able to go down, it's like nutrition of the mind. It's like, would I prefer to watch a virtual reality movie just generated in? Well, it depends on if I feel like, if I just want to relax and watch some hardcore cool movie that I'm like, where I'd be able to create, or do I want to watch a beautiful movie that's be able to, hit my emotions, that's created by a person? Because soon that level of creativity is going to be, it might sound really weird, it might be better than actual humans. So I'm not looking forward to that part.
right.
That's gonna be a bit challenging, because really, what's just gonna happen is that you're just gonna get your phone out, scan your face, hum, and then you have a whole identity of yourself, and then you can just put in prompts. Hey, give me a professional photo shoot, da 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 da, and then they'll just do that, and then it's like, where's my job gonna be?
It removes the whole human part, right? It becomes unnatural. I think it's something that people should think about. That, of course, AI does help, but you should not rely on AI 100% for everything. I mean, many things have to have the human touch. For example, photography. I mean, you cannot have the same appearance and behavior when you do a photo shooting naturally as a human being if it was a machine. It doesn't have the same sense or the same naturality. I mean, and this is something that it comes across all sectors. I mean, people, yes, they can use AI, for example, to make easier mechanized work, for example, repetitive work that you need to do several tasks a day, so you can automate them, but not as relying, for example, build speech or letters, or remove the human part from a person to become automatic. That's totally unnatural and unhealthy, because you're not fulfilling yourself naturally, and your brain is not learning so much as it's supposed to be, because you need to physically do that practice, naturally, instead of having a machine doing it. So I just wanted to make that remark. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. The wild thing is that it's 2025 right now, but AI didn't really come out until 2021. So It's only been here for kind of 4 years. And, the thing that really kind of gets me is, when AI first came out and those videos of people eating, it's like, if you look up those old videos, well, not old, but I mean like 3 years ago, 4 years ago, where people were eating like spaghetti, they'll be eating their whole hands, or they'll be like doing this weird mutation thing. But now it's just on a whole nother level. And I think that in the next, there's this new Chinese AI that just came out. I haven't actually looked into that one, but I think that we're just gonna, in the next 1 or 2 years, or maybe even be 6 months, we're gonna see some really crazy stuff with that, and I'm excited. Do I think that it's good or bad? Personally, I have no idea. It's not fully fleshed out yet.
Okay.
I think that there's always going to be a way for creativity, human creativity, but I think that it's going to be the exact same way of either getting fast food or something that's quickly generated, and then you get that satisfying instant gratification. But I mean, what would you prefer to purchase if you were to create, like, would you prefer to spend $20 on a generated AI image that an AI just created with like 3 prompts? Would you prefer to have that on your wall, or would you prefer having somebody's talent that's from a recognized artist,
Yeah.
and they have a lot of respect, they've been doing this for years, and that person was able to capture this view of beauty that you can see yourself in? It's like, oh wow, that looks so amazing. Would you prefer to have that on the wall? It's like, which one would you prefer to do?
Exactly.
It's like, and so yeah, I know that there's always going to be a human aspect with this. It's never going to go full AI, and if it does, personally, I think we should just go on to be like cyborgs.
Yeah,
we already
this is just the sidestep we just discussed. I mean, the human behavior should always exist. I mean, there's so many things that the human can do that the machine will never do. The sense, the attraction, the sensibility on the work, the way you do the work itself, the sense, as in creativity. I mean, yeah, I can create creativity, but it will never be the same as a human being. I mean, that factor, I think, should never be forgotten. Even whatever changes there might be on the market, I always think that, the human being should always be prevailing everything else.
Yeah, definitely.
So, it's been amazing conversation, Alan. So just the last 2 remarks I'd like to go through. You obviously became expert in your area with all the experience inside staff you've been challenging, creating all you did. What advices would you give to other people if they're thinking in creating, for example, a magazine or a podcast or anything actually? What advice would you give to them?
Okay, so this is probably going to be the most realist advice that I could possibly give, and it's, you either got it or you don't. That's it. It's like, you either have that spark where you want to be at, like, I mean, I'm doing this interview right now. It's 3 a.m. 33. So I mean, hey, that's cool. Like, if anyone does numerology, 333. But that's a.m. not p.m. So it's like, I've had so many conversations with people that go, I would love to do photography, I would love to do interviews, I would love to talk to this person. And then I say to them, well, it's like, would you do it at 1 a.m.? And they always say, hell no. That would never, it's like, so you either want to do it or you don't. Yeah. And a lot of people, have their woes up. They either say, well, you see, I can't do it because of this and that. And they give a small excuse. And, it's just, if you're waking up and if you're breathing and you have a fully functional body, you're able to go to the gym, you're able to be healthy, you're able to prepare your own food, you can give yourself respect, and you're able to challenge yourself. Don't see things where, what if I fail? What if I do this, people are just going to laugh at me. If your friends are laughing at you with you trying to be your best self, ditch that friend group instantaneously and move on. Yeah. I'm telling you right now, it is better for you and it's better for them, because what's just going to happen, and I've seen this happen so much, is that you just become a resentful old person. And that's it. That's my. It sounds a bit harsh, but
I absolutely resonate with you. I mean, if you want a goal, you need to go for it. You need to commit, and you need to move forward. I mean, it doesn't matter if it's going to fail or you're going to back up again and you're going to continue. The main point is resilience, and you're doing what you want to achieve, and you need to
Yeah.
continue and not stopping, because I mean, nothing comes to you. I mean, if you want to a goal, you need to work for it and push it forward. I mean, and this is one of the main subjects that most people are afraid of. I mean, don't be afraid to commit. It doesn't matter what happened. It's not a failure. It's going to be experience, and you just need to see it as a sidestep that you did that didn't get you where you wanted to reach. And from that point, you take it as positive experience that that was not the right way, but you
Yeah.
continue until you get there. And then this is,
Yeah.
it's the most important thing that people should think about. It's not about to prove yourself to other people. No, it's about to do what you want to do. If you have a goal, just do it, and you shouldn't rely on other people, a validation. You should do it for yourself, and then continue, and then improve it, and then many things happen. I mean, I always say you cannot control the environment around you, so you just need to do whatever you feel like doing, but really doing, not like putting excuses to not do it. And this is the most common part.
Yeah.
And that's
It's also, I'll finish up with this. It's perfectly normal to feel afraid and scared. If you're coming into something new, it is. I've been there. Everyone's been there. It's not human to. It's like you have to be lobotomized to go into something that is totally alien to you and not feel a little bit of intimidation, unless if you're just like, just fully just going straight. But my best thing is that you just got to look at yourself in the mirror and just say, this is it. I am my new self, and this is just the things that I need to do, and I'm doing them for myself. If I get criticism, who gives it? Who cares? And you just got to really flesh it out with yourself. We're living in the day and age right now that the whole technology is just on your phone. If you want to be able to educate yourself, you can do it with no actual teacher, just with AI. And any challenge that you have a mentor right there. So please, it's I know that my advice was really intense, but it's fine to be afraid. It's fine to be able to feel a little bit of pressure that may be daunting, but go through with it. And always remember that you're able to achieve massive levels, even if you have self-doubts. Just go with the flow. And and it's just I know that it's summertime over in Australia, but hot damn, I'm sweating. Oh, it's like a sauna in here.
What's the temperature there?
Let me have a look. It's man, okay, so I have a rule. In summertime, I don't go to any luxurious places solely because of this. I sweat ridiculous amounts. It's only 20 degrees.
Oh, okay.
So it's man, it's like I'm like a natural sauna. It's probably not the most romantic thing, but yeah.
Sure. So, Allan, how do you see yourself? To make a final remark. How do you see yourself within the next 5 years within your podcast, your magazine, your cooking? How do you see all this in the next 5, 10 years?
Okay, so what I want to achieve is I want to be able to travel around the world.
Okay.
Do my photography with talent agencies and modeling events, being over there and doing it and interviewing them right there in person. I also want to start acting as well. I know that that's not going to be a right now thing, but I want to 100% do it in the future. I can 100% act. I love acting. If anybody's ever had a lot of like crisis happening when they're childhood. It's really, you have to put on a face. You have to put on like an acting skill. You have to get some sort of acting skill. So I know that I can do it. So that's one thing that I want to do. Living in a different location. I don't know if that means LA. I don't know if that means living over in the States or living over in Europe. I don't really know right now. But yeah, 100% want to get into that kind of aspect of creativity. It kind of seems like a natural flow. And yeah, just with my magazine, just become more and more respected, more and more prevalent. I'm not really burdened by anything with that. It's just a huge positive of my life. And then with the podcast, just have more and more unique conversations with amazing people. I love being able to have their perception and their aspects and just kind of like their views on life. And not only that, being able to bring their best moments into, you know, my viewers and everything. So if I'm able to do that, then that's really powerful for them. And yeah, just embrace life. I want to be able to achieve higher states of consciousness with my spirituality side. I'm still working a lot to take away somewhat of an ego. I used to have a huge ego in my like mid-20s. I've been able to work on that. And so now it's like, yeah, just take away a lot of the, I'm not saying that I have massive negative traits, but I want to just become more reflective. And I want to I also want to do more of a mentorship with other younger people. Just putting them in the right direction on top of this. So yeah, just a lot of self-help, like spirituality. I want to get into the acting industry.
Okay.
And yeah, just magazine's going great, podcast is going great. So there's 5 things that I'm doing. Yeah, so that's what I want to achieve in the next 5 years.
Amazing. So first of all, I'd like to wish you all the best for your show, your podcast, and your magazine. Congratulations on all you've done so far, and just keep me on the loop. I'm always here, interested in all you do, and I'll always, support, all you're doing. I think it's remarkable. And I do advise people to to watch you closer and in your work. That I really appreciate it.
Hey, thank you so much. It's been an amazing interview. Thank you.
Thank you, Allan. So before we finished, I always ask my guests to say a power message. So what will be your power message today?
My power message. Okay, so you need to dive deep into yourself. The more that you understand yourself, the more that you can understand other people's situation. It creates compassion and the ability to grow. I know a lot of people that are still 50 years behind in their mental state, and that they refuse to really evolve because they have to face something that they've experienced a long time ago. And so if you're able to do more of if you have any issues with going through goal setting or trying to give yourself massive respect, spirituality is the way to go. You don't have to follow any religion. I'm not referring any religion or any type of meditation. Just go your own route in the spiritual world. You're able to just become a better person and help other people. And then the other thing as well is that in this world, there is so many hardcore things that are happening in the negative side. So if you're able to help other people or living things, that is already a plus. And so that's my power message, is that just dive deep into your own mind and find the unique and beautiful self that you can obtain, because it is there. And don't be afraid of experiencing those intimate moments with yourself, because eventually it's going to happen. And the longer that you take it off, the bigger it's going to be.
Absolutely.
So yeah, trust me, it's like I'm 31 right now. I I used to think that it was kind of a little bit silly doing this spiritual stuff. I used to not take it seriously at all. But just being able to see other people that I grew up with who were a lot older than me, just the way that they deal with trauma or the way that they deal with negativity in their life, and just seeing it, how it becomes more, it's just, it exacerbates the negativity towards themselves. They can either go through alcoholism or other forms of depression or substance abuse. So yeah, if you're young or old or medium age, and if you want to start just figuring out more of yourself, get into spirituality.
Absolutely, outstanding message. I just want to, compliment that. The most important of that is always be compassionate. Always try to be knowledgeable every day, improve the way you are, and have always a better version of yourself. People always will appreciate you when you are compelling, when you have the ability to hear others, and with this way, you become a better version of yourself. So with that remark, we are finishing for today. Alan, I'm truly appreciated, especially for the time for yourself to be here on the show today. Thank you so much
Hey,
for
thank you.
being here.
It's my honor. Thank you very much. It's been great.
Thank you. Thank you. So, guys, that was all for today. Catch us later on the next episode at 7:30. I appreciate it. Thank you.